terrible sense of direction. I am literally lost without GPS. And I don't think of GPS as a navigation tool. It's more like a circumnavigation tool. Because usually I drive in circles until I finally find my destination. One time I drove across the Brooklyn Bridge 4 times till I found Brooklyn Bridge Park. And another time I was driving into New York City from the suburbs and I missed the entire island of Manhattan, which, believe me, is hard to do. When I'm with my husband and we're lost, he turns to me and says, "Deb, which way do you think we should go?" Then he goes the opposite way, and that's usually the right way. My Siri speaks with a British accent, so I take direction from him. He says, "Go past these lights, then turn right into the next car park." So when I'm visiting my mom in New York and she hears Siri giving directions, she says, "How does he know where to go? He's not from around here." And when we arrive back at home and he announces, "Arriving at Toby Gertrude Schiff's home," her mind is blown. She says, "Not bad for someone who drives on the wrong side of the road." When I first left New York and moved to New Hampshire to go to college, I talked with a really strong New York accent like my mom. My college roommate was from Greenwich, Connecticut, and she just laughed at how I talked. And then she bragged that her accent was the perfect American accent. She had no accent. All the newscasters, Walter Cronkite, Peter Jennings, they all spoke with a Connecticut accent. And I believed her, and I lost my New York accent in 3 weeks. But I wish I could go back in time and tell my 17-year-old self that my freshman year roommate was a Greenwich bitch who was busting my balls. Like many people, I became a baker during the pandemic, so I bring my homemade cookies to my mom. She says, "Deborah, I don't need that. It goes straight to my thighs. Do I look malnourished?" Well, she lost 60 pounds the year my dad died. So yes, she does, totally, definitely, absolutely. So this is how I get her to eat. I say, "Mom, what's your goal weight?" 140 pounds. You weigh 135, eat the cookie. So she takes a bite, says, "These are good." She said, you're a real ballabuster. I mean, ballbuster. Then she laughs. It took me years to get the joke that ballabuster means homemaker in Yiddish, not ballbuster. She has decades of Weight Watcher weight loss tips embedded in her psyche, so it's very interesting going to a diner with my mom. She always orders the club sandwich, and then she proceeds to surgically dissect it. First, she removes the top slice of bread, less calories. Then she asks, "Do you want some fries?" "No thanks, Mom, we all have fries." Then she'll say, "You want some coleslaw?" "No thanks, not really a sharing food." Nobody goes to Applebee's and orders the coleslaw appetizer for the table. She takes out that soggy middle slice of bread and offers it up. I say, "Mom, I'm not a human garbage can. If you don't want to eat bread, why don't you order a salad instead of a sandwich?" She says, "Deborah, I don't like salad. That's diet food." I'm a boomer and a late adopter of technology. I would still be using my BlackBerry, but they went out of business. I don't know why. Recently, I learned how to tap instead of swipe my credit card. The nice checker at Trader Joe's taught me how. He said, "You go in slow, and then you hover like you're meeting a new dog." Who's a good dog? You're a new dog. And it works. My kids are both millennials, which means they don't like to talk on the phone. So I try to text them, But when they ghost me, and they do, of course I'm gonna call to make sure they're alive. So the last time I called my son, he answered accusingly, "Oh, so you're cold calling now." And then when I cold called my other son, he said, "Is everything okay? Is Grandma still alive?" I said, "She's fine. She sends her regards." So I try to keep to texting. And my texts are basically me giving my sons motherly advice, and their response is basically them humoring me and shutting me down. So here are some texts from between me and my son, who is a comedy writer. Here, I know, right? So here's one. "Dad and I think you should write for John Oliver." He says, "I think I will." He didn't. Then here's another. "Did you know the director of Boyhood also directed School of Rock? You should send him your movie script." He said, "I'll text him." He didn't. Here's one more. "Can you call me now? I really want to talk to you about your Jewish Jamaican pirate movie, Ahoy Vey." He said, "Maybe later, or maybe write a proper proposal." I did. And then my son, who's a comedy writer, he asked if I was the funniest person in my stand-up comedy class, and I said no, obviously. But I think I'm the only one who did all the homework. It was due on Thursday, and I usually turned it in by Monday. You know how they say it takes 10,000 hours to master any skill? I have just 9,982 hours to go before I kill as a comedian. But I've been a pediatric oncologist since 1990, so I already kill as a doctor.